Welcome to Mathematical Minutes with Dr. Rhonda Fitzgerald, where we strive to give you understanding to mathematical concepts in minutes. So today we'll talk about the difference quotient. Let's look at how the difference quotient is defined. The difference quotient is simply defined as f of x plus h minus the quantity f of x all over h. And I know that seems like a lot, but it isn't. Now let's look at that. It has more relevance in calculus. However, it is simply algebraic in manipulation. So we'll look at how we use the difference quotient. So let's look at an example where we want to find the difference quotient for my function f of x equals 2x plus 10. So let's find the difference quotient for this. And just like in function notation, the very first step, I want to find my f blank. So I'm going to write my f blank as f blank equals 2 blank plus 10. Remember, f blank just really means to put a blank set of parentheses wherever we saw x. Now let's do this. And I like to use my difference quotient. I break it down into pieces. So the very first piece that I'm going to find is my f of x plus h. That's going to be my very first step. I'm going to find f of x plus h. All right, we're going to break this down and simplify it. So how do I find f of x plus h? Well, I'm just going to write down 2 blank plus 10. And here, plug in x plus h in my parentheses. So this is the value for f of x plus h. Now let's simplify this. Let's distribute our 2, and we see that we have that this equals the quantity 2x plus 2h plus 10. 2x plus 2h plus 10. So this is the value of my f of x plus h. Next, I want to go ahead and find the whole numerator. So here, secondly, so my first step was I found f of x. My next step, I'm breaking this in pieces. My next step, I'm just now going to find f of x plus h minus the quantity f of x. So how am I going to do that? Well, notice, remember, we just found f of x. So all I'm going to redo is rewrite what I found for f of x. So this guy is simply going to be 2x plus 2h plus 10, because that's my f of x plus h, minus f of x. So let's subtract off the original function. So minus, oops, and that's supposed to be a 10, not 1. So we're going to add that in there. 10 minus our f of x. Our f of x is just our original function. So f of x looks like 2x plus 10. I'm sorry, 2x plus 10. So we want to subtract that. So minus, parentheses, 2x plus 10. So let's look at this. Our f of x plus h minus f of x. So here we plug in our f of x plus h. I want to subtract my original function of f of x. Okay, now let's simplify this. So when I simplify this, we end up with the value 2x plus 2h plus 10 minus, I have to distribute this negative, so minus 2x minus 10 when I distribute my negative. Now let's simplify. Let's simplify the f of x plus h minus f of x. So what happens here when I simplify? Please notice what cancels out. I have a positive 2x and a minus 2x, so my 2x term cancels. I have a positive 10 and a negative 10, so my 10 cancels out. I'm only left with the term 2h. So we're left with the term 2h. So let's notice something here. When I go to find my numerator, which is my f of x plus h minus f of x, which we found here, notice what happens. Only terms with h should be left. Only terms with h should be left. Let me say it in a different way. All terms that did not have an h, notice what happened. The terms that did not have an h, they all canceled. Right? The terms that did not have an h, they all canceled, so that we're left with only terms that had an h in it. Now the very last step to find our difference quotient is this whole fraction, right? It was f of x plus h minus f of x. Well, we found that, so my very last thing to do is divide what my final answer is here by h. So my third step now is to find the whole part, f of x plus h minus f of x, which we just found and simplified to be 2h, all over h. So this just tells me to take 2h over h. And when I do this, what happens? My h's cancel, and my final result is simply 2. My final result is simply 2. So the difference quotient for the function 2x plus 10 is simply 2. So once again, the difference quotient for the function f of x is equal to 2x plus 10 is simply 10. And notice when finding the difference quotient, we broke this down into 3 steps. We first found f of x plus h. Then we found the whole numerator, f of x plus h minus f of x. And then lastly, we divided by h. So we took each step, simplified it, and made it easier to find our difference quotient. And this is calculating and finding the difference quotient. Thank you.